Welcome back to the show, The Brighter Side of Blue. We got no Danny tonight. I'm Tommy.
I'm JJ.
Producer John.
Where are we at, JJ?
I'm not sure. No, we're at the basement of Columbo's Cafe and Tavern, our studio, with the home of the Cibo's Pizza and lunch specials. And I think we got some pizzas out there. I'll be Danny today.
There's all
bunch
kinds
of pizzas. There's
all
like
kinds of good
15
food out
pizzas
there.
out there. I think there's one pizza that got ice spilt on it, though.
Yeah, I knocked the bucket over. That was your pizza, wasn't
That
it?
was my pizza.
Actually, I had a piece. It was still good.
Yeah, it was
Who we got with us tonight, John? Who's our guest tonight?
Well, we got two legends. They've already been on the show before, each of them. But one's here live for the first time, Mark Biondolino.
Yep.
Retired St. Louis City policeman, now working for DEA. And then Jimmy Long, a good friend of the show, who's another retired officer, but now he's a DEA agent.
He's
Headed
also-
to Vietnam, and we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, he was
but,
also my partner before he left for DEA.
Right.
I groomed him for DEA.
Is that true, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'll give you that. But I'd also like to say I was the best partner because I know Brad was on here.
Oh,
Uh-oh. We
I
got a
had
beef.
good partners.
We're going to hash through all that in the next few minutes.
I had really good partners.
But then, and both Mark and Jimmy worked with us in the MVOP, which we'll have a couple stories about that. We'll have some good stories coming up. But the first thing we want to recognize is today is the National Memorial for Peace Officers. And so that's a big day. And so we thought we'd start with a little shot to all those that have fallen in the line of duty.
It's May 15th.
May 15th. And we've talked about many of them, and here's to y'all.
Salute.
Ouch. All right, on to the next one.
This show just went downhill fast.
But you, Jimmy Long, you've been to several of the, because you lived in Washington here over the years, and you go to that event quite often, don't you?
Every year.
Was it, did you go to, not this year, obviously, you're not there because you're here, but any of them stick out more than the others? Obviously, probably the Bob Stanzi one.
Absolutely. That was the first time. I
was-
didn't even know about it before then. And we all went there together as a group for Bob and his wife and his son were there and the rest of Bob's family. And that was pretty emotional and quite an experience. And then several years every time I've been able to attend many of them after that.
No, and I know that's the one that I went to, too. That was a pretty cool one. JJ, you've been
I have
quite a few
multiple
times, too.
And actually, Jim and my son and I went when Jim was living in D.C.
Yeah.
But if an officer, a police officer, has never been to that, they need to experience it. It's a great week.
Mark, you ever been there?
Overwhelming.
Yeah, actually, I went down, was it 05 or 06? I
For
stayed.
Sloan.
Yeah, for Nick Sloan.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yep.
That's the one I went to.
slept
That's
on
the
the
one I
couch
went
of
to.
the hotel room that Jimmy rented. So much appreciated.
That's nice of you.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's always good, right? Today is also the debut of Mickey Mouse, 1928.
Really?
Fun
Yes.
fact.
Yep. Debut of Mickey Mouse.
That does
First
not
time.
fit in right there. I thought Danny was gone.
I'm just letting you know. Hey, I think we have to make our viewer audience more knowledgeable after they've watched the show.
I'm
So
sorry.
just little stuff.
Sorry about that.
It's also National Chocolate Chip Day. Shit. Chocolate chips are good. Is that the best cookie? That's the question.
I think so.
I got it. Crunchy or soft?
Soft.
Crunchy.
You have to
What
have
do you got,
milk.
JJ?
You have to have milk.
What do you got, Jimmy? Jimmy Long. What do you got? Soft or crunchy?
Crunchy for sure.
With milk.
Right.
Ice cold milk
Yeah.
from the freezer.
And JJ, what you were on a detail that hit the news the other day. These slideshows are back. You've gotten along with several of the slideshow people, but the other night the went a little awry. Tell us a little about that.
They made a mistake. And the guy that I'm in contact with, he swears he wasn't there. He was at the main location. They go and kind of chill in the industrial area, which I give them the okay for about an hour. But they made a mistake, and they went down to Holly Hills in Leona, which is a very nice area in South City, and it made an uproar with the residents, the city. Oh,
Man,
I was working
Man.
my crew, anti-crime with Kim Allen's crew, and Jim Murphy's sergeant. We were all working. We always work together, and so we heard that. I got a dispatcher asked if we could switch up, and they asked if mobile could go down to Holly Hills and Leona. We went down there. They were gone. By the time we got there, I told my guys, meet me at the entrance of Loughborough and Crownlet Park. By the time I got there, the dispatcher got on the air for an aid call that was right down the street at Hampton and Gravois and said, can you divert to there? So I told my guys, just go down there and you go deal with that. I went down to Holly Hills and Leona, and they were all gone. So make a long story short, they kept moving.
We're waiting.
Too late
Yeah,
for that.
well, they moved. Listen. They moved from parking lot to parking lot, and they finally went to a parking lot that we had the advantage on, and they came out and we spiked.
50.
We ended up doing 25 at that, probably 25 or more at that location, and then some got away and they went up north to Halls Ferry and Gimlin, where there's a gas station. It's the North City. We went up there. We tried to remove. We got calls asking us to remove them because they took over a whole gas station, a whole intersection. So we went up there with both units, and we ended up spiking probably about the same, about 25 or
So
more.
about 50 cars got spiked.
We say 50
We're
plus.
down, everybody's down for that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of flat
Everybody's
tires.
down for that.
So it made the news.
So that Holly Hills neighborhood,
They
you know
were
who they
mad.
might want to hire?
Yeah, Corby.
Corby Campbell, CampbellSecurityGroup.com.
But my guy Wano, who I talked to, said it wasn't him. He called me on the phone because he heard that
He felt bad?
He was mad, and he put out an Instagram saying, "Hey, that was wrong. I could read the Instagram. It's actually
Yeah,
pretty good.
look it up.
I keep talking while I look.
Yeah, that's what I want to do. Is keep talking. Yeah.
Let's talk about
No.
Campbell Security.
go ahead.
We'll talk about Campbell Security, Corby Campbell,
All right.
for
I got it.
your.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Corby. Your ad is over.
Keep going.
Go ahead.
We'll come back
You got
to
it.
Corb.
He put on his Instagram thing. It said, one condition: we got to stop all takeovers, at least in the St. Louis City area. If we want to do this right, we have to stop the dumb shit. Not a good look for us as a car and block party community. Zero tolerance.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But he said the city. That leaves the county a little.
County's in trouble next weekend.
Let's just go to the county.
Somebody else said that.
There go Mikey Mueller. I bet you he has an opinion on the slideshows.
My boss is here, and he was calling me that night
Right.
saying, "What's going on?"
He just gave him the thumbs up. Good
hey,
job,
he
baby.
was very proud of me and my unit
Yeah.
and Annie Crime.
There you go,
And I got to give
baby.
a shout out to Kim Allen and her crew. They were unbelievable, and I got to give another shout out to Kim Allen because she goes to soccer games a lot that I work, and every time she shows up, she has this hat on. Every time she's a supporter of the brighter side of blue.
That's our girl, Kim Allen.
We love Kim.
We do.
Absolutely. So then the other one I wanted to talk about was the get into the stories here with Jimmy and Mark. But Mark we've heard the story a little bit about when Mr. Colombo got stabbed, and we did go over the pursuit, but the Mark was in the back seat of our car, and it was myself, Lance Wolf, and Mark was in the back seat. And just to brush people up, if you haven't heard the story before, is that Mr. Colombo here of the Colombo family, they cashed checks upstairs, and he was stabbed by a guy, and the guy's name was Raymond Pedroli. And Raymond was a little Hoosier, and he was acting up something fierce, and he was on a crime spree. And so Leo Rice and his partner Freddie
Freddie Latham.
Freddie Lathan. That shot got me.
He's lieutenant now.
Okay, Lieutenant Freddie Lathan and Leo were riding together at the time, and they start the pursuit. And when they start the pursuit, we're all down south, and and Mark was our backseat passenger, so I'll let Mark take it from his point of view.
I got to ask Mark first.
Oh.
Were you saying ram the son of a bitch? Were you saying ram him?
I can't confirm or deny that.
Because the guy on the left,
did it.
or far left, I was in the front seat, he was in the back seat of pursuit, and he kept saying, ram him, Dodge, ram him. I kept
was
telling
like-
him to shut up. I don't like pursuits, man. I mean, I don't. When you're not driving, pursuits suck. And when the guy in the back seats, he's like screaming for the driver to ram the car on Highway 70.
Hey,
Didn't-
JJ.
Yeah, sorry.
The sooner you ram the car, the shorter the pursuit.
That is true.
Good job, John.
But
That's a
John,
good point.
John, we don't have bumpers on mobile reserve cars, but go on. the bumper.
No bumper at all?
bumpers.
We have bumpers, not the ramming bumpers.
Oh.
They
Okay.
look funny.
And we don't.
Don't they look funny? with
Hey,
no
I like
bumper?
if he would said pit him, but he didn't. He just said ram him. Pit him.
Same thing.
We don't
Same
know.
thing.
They,
Shooter.
they push him to the side.
ram then pit. It's a ram pit.
It's a hit.
We don't do that in St. Louis. It's never been.
I like it. I like it.
We'll spike the shit out of you, but we won't fucking. We won't ram you.
Okay.
I was.
So now we'll go to Mark's story.
Sorry, Mark. Sorry. Go ahead. How was it?
You're doing excellent, AJ. Thanks.
Hey, how was it? How was it in the back seat of that car?
I was like a kid in the 70s going on vacation, and I felt like Sawyer and Bumpy were having an argument in front on which way to go. So I was just kind of sticking my head through. Now, I don't know if he mentioned it in the first one, but he's flat on E from the start of the whole pursuit. We had
no
6
gas.
I
ounces
left
of
that
gas
out.
in the car, and they were going back and forth. Him and Bumpy. I don't know where you guys were arguing when we got stuck at the train track.
The train tracks.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Bumpy knew the first district, and he's like, "Do
Yeah.
this, do that." I was like, "Ah." It was the way we were arguing. Yes.
It was. I felt like I was in the middle of a domestic disturbance.
You guys had Black Beauty, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes, Black Beauty.
And you
I
were
was
driving.
thinking Black Beauty was going to do some kind of magic to get through the train.
But we ended up right on the point of it by the time it ended up over in Illinois. So time did good.
That's what you're going to leave it at?
No. Oh, sorry.
Dude, there's a lot more to happen than that. I can remember you you taking over you were the radio guy
Why were you chasing him to begin with?
because he stabbed Mr. Columbo.
Oh, okay.
So-
story's
and-
gone so long that I forget.
Really?
Just kidding. I'm joking.
But I will say at the end of the pursuit, and that's when the mobile guys got in a wreck. You know,
Oh, yeah.
when we were chasing them around the block, 2 mobile guys getting in a wreck. And this, I have not brought this part of the story up, is that there was a house that we were 2 houses that we were walking between after we caught him to where all the police cars were and where it ended. There's a lot of policemen walking between 2 houses. And there was a lady on the right. And she, I remember that gal. She had like a 2 foot by 2 foot window, a small window. She opened that little motherfucker up. Hey, you motherfuckers!
Hey, just say she cursed a lot.
She cursed a lot. And then the one guy from Illinois because it ends in Illinois. So when we catch the one guy, or the one guy from Illinois shows up, he's a heavier fella. And apparently he had been there in the past to the gal, remember? And then she opens it.
Oh yeah.
Hey, you were here last night, you fat motherfucker.
What a lovely woman.
And,
She was a character.
She was a character. Then, Jimmy, you got the pleasure of taking Raymond Pedroli, who was the stabber to the hospital. How'd that go?
He was a little injured, and he resisted a little bit.
Yep.
And it was the quickest and most entertaining hospital or emergency room visit I ever experienced.
Was it on the east side?
Yes.
St. Mary's, if I believe
Mary's
correctly.
in
I don't remember. I don't remember the name of the hospital. If you say it, I'll
What
go with
happened
that.
in the hospital?
Petroli was still very combative
Agitated?
and yelling at the staff and the doctor. You got to tell that part because I can't do accents.
The doctor was an Indian doctor. And Pedroli's acting up, and he's just not shutting up. And the Indian doctor took enough of it, and he says, "If you do not shut the fuck up, I will staple your tongue to the roof of your mouth." So,
But normally
That's awesome.
during hospital visits,
Oh.
they want to do X-rays. They want to check it, make sure everything cover all the bases. He got so aggravated with the guy, he grabs him in a headlock, and he's got the staple gun, and he boom, 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 like 7 times, staples his head, and he's like, okay, he's done. It was 15 minutes. We were done, and I was already back in St. Louis.
and then they gave you. Remember, they gave you the like a file or a file. And they put it in his property. Said, "Put this in his property bag and tell him to pop them out in 10 days." Whoever he's at in 10 days, tell him to pop them out.
They showed that guy no mercy. It was awesome.
Those are
Was
good
he-
days.
Yeah.
complaining about not getting water and screaming.
Oh yeah.
He wanted the basic necessities of life. He screamed in the hospital.
Can I get some water up in this motherfucker?
I think that immediately preceded him getting headlocked and stapled.
Right. Yes.
I like when the prisoners were like, have this list of demands.
Yeah.
Dickie Burgess and I locked up this gal, DWI. We had to. She hit like 82 cars, but we're driving her to get to the Batmobile to get her B8
DWI
she-
testing.
Get her B12 shot.
and she's like, "Can I have a cigarette?" It's like, "No, we don't have any cigarettes." She goes, "Well, how about a cup of coffee?" And he's like, "We don't have any coffee, lady." And she's like, "What exactly do you have to offer?" I said, "A ride to jail, lady. That's all we got." She thought she was getting like the chauffeured,
Yeah.
pampered.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
Absolutely not. And then the other good pursuit that I don't know which one of you guys want to take this one, but there was a yellow Cadillac that was running around and then doing robbery after robbery in the Jefferson and Gravois area. So we get assigned down there, and so while we're in the violent crime unit, we get assigned down there and says just try to find this yellow Cadillac. Jimmy, you can take it from J-Lo. You can take it from there.
I feel like we've had this story before.
Well, we got a lot of new listeners that probably enjoy this story.
I don't remember any of the story except
Oh, I remember I had to write it.
Take it away, Mark. Take it away.
Well, I don't remember exactly where we were at on the south side, but we ended up stopping a yellowish Cadillac.
Now I remember
You
now.
didn't stop it.
Well, it
tried.
stopped at
We
first.
tried.
It stopped at first, and it vaguely matched the description that was put
Somewhat.
out for the
Right?
shenanigans.
yellowish.
And going by one of Tommy Sawyer's rules, it was after midnight, so
Shit's about to go down.
it was all shenanigans were getting ready to kick off. So we stopped this car. I think we went up and talked to the guy. By the time we went back to our car, he was squealing wheels out, and that was good enough for us. Chase was on.
He was guilty of something.
Yeah, that was it. That was
That yellowish just became yellow.
that was a
yellow.
yellow, and the driver matched the description. And Chase was on.
Forgot that.
And so we're going. Jimmy's driving, and here we go. We're off, and it was right by the highway, and boom, in no time we're in Illinois, or going towards Illinois. And I'm like, oh, this is good. This guy has got to be good for this here, and there's no doubt.
Right.
And Jimmy starts laughing. I'm like, well, what are you laughing at? He's chuckling as we're going along. He's like, hey, you're up to right. and I'm like, oh, that's now I can see it going downhill real quick.
He drives like a maniac.
Oh
too.
yeah, I'm white knuckled on the window and
Been there.
dash,
I've been there.
getting nauseous, and we're flying, and it's lasting long enough. It's going over to Illinois, and I'm from Illinois, Southern Illinois. It turns off into around Glen Carbon, somewhere around Edwardsville, Glen Carbon, one of these small country roads. And by that time, it went on a little while. So everybody from our unit is.
And about 10
It looked
different
like-
Illinois units.
Oh yeah, Illinois. There's every muni over there. It looked like a parade. I thought they were going to be. They should have been throwing out candy.
Yes.
And, which was great until they spiked him, and he's slowing down on this old country road, and so it's coming to an end. So this is either going to be a really good case or a big shit case. And so as we're obviously the first car, but one of these Illinois munis whips up there, comes around, and then the rest of the guys from the MVOP unit are following in line. But this guy comes running up, and obviously there's 15 coppers behind him, lights and blaring. This guy's just got to be losing his shit in the car. And so he's not really probably following. He's probably getting 10 different directions from 5 people outside the car. So, and this I think was right around the advent of when the tasers came out.
And Illinois had them before us.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
And this might have been one of the test runs.
Right. Oh,
So
it worked.
he didn't follow the directions quick enough, and out it came, and zap.
Right.
He's getting pulled one way and zapped the other way, and And next thing you know, he gets yanked out of the car. So then we start. Now everybody there has had their fun. This poor guy, he's laying
for the guy
he's
who
laying
had to
at,
ride
he's
You
laying
gotta
at the
ride it.
feet. He's laying at the feet of us, and by that time, I think it was Joe Spees was our lieutenant.
Yep. He was the boss.
Tony, the rest of the crew
Tony
had
was
pulled
there.
up,
Yep.
and they're like, "Hey, what do you got?" And I think the guy had some dope on him, but must have been under some better lighting when we stopped at that point, because the vehicle obviously was not as yellow or as tan as it was in the description when we first stopped it.
What did Speech say?
No, he walked up. Schwarb was there.
Yeah.
So he was walking up to the car, and Schwarb was by the car. And he goes, Schwarb, what color is that car? And Schwarb looked at him, and he shrugged his shoulders and just kept on walking. And then the other one was they when he resisted, and these guys come up, and in both these pursuits, by the way, the one we talked about with Columbo's dad, and this one, the Illinois guys had tasers and we did not.
Right.
And in both instances, they came up and they would holler, taser, 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 and we'd all get out of the way. Well, this particular guy that you're talking about here with the white Cadillac, he was
It's not
popping-
yellow as shit anymore. It's
White.
just
Yeah, this thing's white as can be.
Plain white.
Pearl white. And this guy's he's just flopping around going, let the state kill me. Let the state kill me. That was always
But that's fun. Actually, Scott Boyer he was my sergeant in Mobile, and we just got the tasers. And for some reason, I'm riding with them, and there was a resisting off like a Hebert somewhere. So he looks at me and goes, they're fighting. I go, I know, we got to get there. So he zooms up and goes, I got the taser. Because I guess they gave the sergeant
Got
the
the
taser.
taser.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so he got out and he ended up tasing the guy. And we didn't know how good they work, but they work great. And the guy says, "You're killing me."
oh, just making you stutter.
Yeah. We set him up. And he goes, "God darn." That made me think of that. So that was funny. But anyway.
The taser. I love the mace because of the long-lasting effect, like for 3 days.
When you re-shower, it
But the taser,
reactivates.
I mean, when you let up on a taser, it's done.
Remember when Bill Burnett showed us how you could still shoot
Yeah.
after being mazed?
Oh yeah.
Dude, he did a demonstration when we were in SWAT, and he gets the worst mace. It's like
It was foam.
It was foam. So
It's kinda like the-
he puts gloves on and he sprays his hands and he rubs it all over his face. And somebody said, Jimmy says, I don't wash my face that good. he rubbed it, and we're all
It went
watching.
into his brain.
What the heck? And he uses one finger or his two fingers to open his eye, and he shoots perfectly because he
Shoots
could
a
shoot.
300?
He goes, you could.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he could have had both his eyes.
He was showing you if you get maced
Right.
because a lot of times it's the flowback, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And he opened one eye and he had like darts, right on top of each other.
That was
Yeah, he was-
extreme dedication, and it was impressive actually.
And then we all had to get maced. It sucked.
It's like
See, I think
that was like the premise of dodgeball.
But the greatest line was somebody said, he goes, I don't wash my face that good. He was like rubbing it all over
so.
his
He had
face.
some super duper mace.
Yeah.
It's kind of like getting into the chip challenge.
Yes.
You know, let's see who can shoot with the nastiest mace ever.
The
Bill
worst,
Burnett.
though, but
What a legend
when
he
we,
is.
when we were in
Yes.
housing, I took the Mark. Remember, I took the tasers away because it always turned out to be horrible. But we were walking the guy out of the Cochrane's, and he was just not cooperating. He's pulling away, whatever. So I like the drive stun thing,
Yeah.
So I took the cartridge off. Well, I hit the guy with it, and it wasn't his fault, but he like unintentionally like comes towards me and hits me in the nose, headbutts me in the nose. Then he falls backwards and falls on Layshock, and so now me and Layshock messed up Layshock's leg, so we're out of commission. And this guy's just standing there like, "Hey guys, let's go."
Takes out two after a macing.
Yeah, the guy didn't do anything. But, he was fine, and I had a nosebleed, and Jerry was limping for a month after that.
Hey, can I say something about Jerry Layshock?
No.
Yes.
He just fought in he boxed last weekend. And so I met up with him earlier today because we do DraftKings together. But anyway, he's got a little dot on his eye. But I talked to him. I go, man, I wish I'd known you were boxing in this senior event. And he goes, oh, it was great. He goes, this guy was good. The guy was like a national champion and whatever. And he goes, and this is the next day. He goes, man, you know how he is. He's I feel great. I mean, because this guy, he goes, he hit me with his shot that was like, I never seen it coming, whatever. But this guy he fought was probably way too. The guy continues to fight. He hasn't fought in like 18 years, and he gets in the ring with this guy and fights him.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
typical
I bet
Jerry.
he did great too.
He did. Oh, absolutely. And they went the whole distance, and the guy, he said the very last round, he caught him with the craziest hit he ever did. And he said he kind of stumbled him, and then he got back into the fight, and the fight was over, so he did lose on a decision.
I was a victim of Jerry's sparring. It was terrible.
What happened? What had happened?
And he was probably only going 10%, and it just every time he jabbed, it was like terrible.
He knew
I'd say
exactly
2 stars.
when to jab.
Yeah,
That's what happens when people know how to do shit.
Talking about Mikey Mueller in the house.
Mike
Yeah,
Mueller,
him too.
yeah.
When my son fought in Guns N' Roses, he sparred him, and Michael was so impressed because he just stood in the ring, and that one fighter came in after another. He just kept staying in the ring, and he fought everybody that came in the ring. I said, "How'd you do?" He goes, "I terrible. I couldn't even hit him."
Thank God I
It
didn't
still
have to
does it to
spar.
this day.
What's that?
Still does it to this day, Mike.
I know he does. He's a stud.
Well, Jerry's a badass for boxing, but Dan plays pickleball against 99 people.
Dan whips his ass in pickleball.
Jerry's almost up to Dan's level.
I think Danny's trying to get Jerry in the pickleball.
It never happened.
I think
Maybe.
think,
He loves
Jerry
tennis.
plays tennis.
What's that?
Jerry always called people
cake eater.
Cake eaters, yeah.
What's that mean?
It means you're like a punk or a sissy.
Oh.
So Jerry's never going to play a cake eater sport.
Speaking of nicknames, I heard a great one the other day. I was reading them, social media thing, and they asked for the best nicknames. And somebody at work had a guy that worked with them that was named Anthony, and he was like 5 foot tall, and they called him Shetland Tony. I thought that was some funny shit. That had me rolling pretty good. They had one of the guys had a friend whose mother was Mexican and the father was Irish, and they called him Green Bean. And this thing kept on going. Like they had another one that they had one guy that was his one leg was shorter than the other, so he kind of limped, and they call him the Sniper's Nightmare.
I had him, but no, I didn't.
And then they had another one that said, and then right under the Sniper's Nightmare, it says, "Oh yeah, we had a kid in class that had a big head, and we called him the Sniper's Dream." So, good nickname. Good nicknames. What good nicknames do we got on the police department? Anybody got any?
I got one. I can come in on myself.
All right.
When I was a brand new policeman in Mobile, I rode with Dickie Burgess. And, back in the day, it was like The Wire. There's dope sets everywhere. I don't believe I'm telling this story on myself.
gonna be a
But
good
we'd do, we'd get out of the car and we'd kind of sneak up and do surveillance and we'd try to watch the dope set, whatever. So one time, right on Cook Avenue, like 3800 block of Cook, there was an old nursing home, and they were selling dope right at Caddy Corner. So we decided we were going to the nursing home. So the guy, the security lets us in, or the whatever, and we have to go up to the top of the floor, and then we have to crawl. Those ladders that are like concrete, like screwed into the wall. And you got to go up and open up the latch and stuff. Mm-hmm. So we walk in, and I'm the new guy. I'm all fired up. Dickie's behind me, so I'm like up the thing and
got your shades on.
I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting for Dickie. There's like a 4-foot wall, so I'm walking up, creeping up to him, and I peek over the wall. And as soon as I peek over the wall, the guy goes, "Police." I'm like, I gotta look back and tell you, they caught us. They spotted me. He goes, "That's because you got that big Jack in the Box head." He goes, "Jesus Christ!" He was so mad. So and then I got nicknamed Jack for the longest time.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Jack.
That's a great one.
The other question is, like, would you rather have $1 million or his head full of nickels?
Jimmy, we were partners, dude. That was wrong. My head ain't that big, but whatever.
It was that night.
But yeah, well, the funny thing is I got caught once before, and that's when he was like so frustrated with me.
You should
this
have like
John
a
Hyla?
periscope. Or
Was this Hyla?
No, this is Dickie Birdsville. I was
Yeah.
in Mobile.
Oh, you were in mobile at this time.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were sneaking around.
Right, you had a bad week.
Like a week before that, he goes, get down on foot, and we walked. I was in this yard, and it was right off of Goodfellow, and it was like a kind of industrial area, or kind of some businesses and stuff. So I got on foot, and then we were going to watch the guys behind him. So I kind of snuck out behind this house and look, and the guy goes, "Please." So he was stick, Dickie. He got so mad. He got, "Gosh dang it, man!" And so I got back in the car. Then a couple weeks later, I got up on the roof, and that's when he nicknamed me Jack.
It was appropriate.
Big old head.
Big old head.
Yeah, big old head.
Yeah.
You were the sniper's dream.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, the one thing that the story that when we were prepping for the show we talked about was when Jimmy was being shot at in McCreetown. Can you take us through that one?
Oh,
You guys were riding together at the
we
time.
were. Yeah, it was actually me and Bumpy
Right.
and Jimmy riding together.
And you guys were in plain clothes.
And Bumpy
Yeah,
is
we're-
Lance Wolf.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Lance Wolf.
Lance,
That's a
I
great
appreciate it.
nickname too, right
Bumpy.
there.
Why is
Yeah.
he bumpy?
Because he had muscles everywhere.
Yeah, because I think when they got out of the car in the first district, they said, "Man, you bumpy." and apparently that's slang for muscles.
And then, not to, just before you start that, the other great nickname was that the people of the neighborhood give people was Barney.
Oh.
It might be a legendary one.
Well, his bar's named after it now.
Right.
It was straight on, though. Barney Rubble.
Well, I mean, they nailed that
So
one.
his first name isn't Barney?
It is now.
And that wasn't his nickname until he became a policeman. That was
Right.
not his nickname. And then when the hood people named him Barney, everybody was like, "That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one."
It's
Barney
stuck.
Rubble.
But go ahead with the you guys are getting our J-Lo gets out in McCreetown. How's that go down?
So we're riding up around McCree. It's probably a block. It was a few blocks from the office
Yeah.
where we had the UC office there where the MVOP was at. And so it's coming around like 1, close to time. We were working 6 to 2s. And roll down McCree, see a house, 4 or 5 guys up on the porch looking like, it's getting busy. They're selling dope up there off the porch. So we're like, we're going to swing back around and try to grab them. But they're way up on the porch,
Up in there.
Yeah. So as we come back around, Jimmy's like, "Let me out over. I think it was on Lafayette." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "I'll climb up in these in this vacant building and I'll watch." This is a great, well laid out plan. And so he goes, "I'll watch and I'll let you guys know. And when I see him coming down closer, I'll tell you and Lance, you pull around." So we let Jimmy out. He gets up in the vacant house and he's talking like, I don't know the golf announcer, but he's whispering. And so he's like,
Jim
"All right,
Nance.
Jim Nance, there you
it's
go.
good to go." We pull over there, and we're kind of sitting in the car. We're hoping they come down to the car because we're going to jump out and just snatch and grab and see what we got. And so it's like a standoff. They're not coming down, and we're not getting out. So we're sitting there, and after about 15 seconds, Lance is like, "All right, let's just get out." So we get out of the car, and we're just going to bum rush the porch. As soon as we open the door, shots ring out. 3 or 4 shots from the porch come our way, and we're like, "Oh shit!" So then we duck back down. They take off. We don't know it's a vacant house, or we probably light it up. But so we take off after them. 2 guys. One goes through the house, the vacant house. The other goes around the side. Well, Jimmy is coming from across Lafayette, across McCree, through this vacant lot, and he's flying. He passes Lance up, he passes me up, and off they go. But the comical thing is, we didn't hear it at the time because we're running, is he's like on the air, everybody else is at the office or getting ready to make relief, and he's like, "We're being shot at." But he's still got the golf voice going on. They're shooting at us.
Tony Lockenick always said that was one of the funniest things, and because me and Tony were right next to each other, and he's, "We're being shot at."
Yeah.
And Tony said, "What did he just say?" And he kept he stayed in the golf voice. He doesn't. It wasn't like he said it once. He's like,
You got to
"Yes,
remain calm, boys."
Right. Good job, buddy.
we're up on McCree, 3800 block of McCree. Yeah, we're being shot at." And Tony Lockenick was beside himself. He's like, "You got to be kidding me!"
And then Jimmy ran him down. And then everybody else showed up because it was 5 minutes from the office.
Right.
Right, that was a good place to get shot at.
Oh, dude.
If you needed help quick.
And a bad place to get
If they're-
caught.
Bad place to get caught. That's always a good one too.
And then everybody showed up with the guy that I think the first guy Jimmy caught is a couple houses down from the vacant lot. Well, everybody's there. And this guy, he's caught. And so then all of a sudden, it gets kind of quiet, and you hear some rumbling, like a house over from the gangway. And the second guy's in a wood pile. And then it's like they dropped this guy. Nobody's there with him, and everybody jumped over. And
He couldn't stay still.
End of
no, he
story.
could not stay still. I don't know if
Taken
he
into custody without incident.
No, that's a definite
It
good
went to
place to
trial
hide.
later
Bad
on.
place to get caught.
I got a trip home.
Oh,
from
yeah, it
Colorado
did.
on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, is that when you were just about to leave too? Yeah, you
I
were
was
down there
already
when-
in Colorado
right.
when that one. But yeah,
You got
but
subpoenaed and had to come back.
yeah, I had to come back like a year
Right.
later.
Because that's
He
what
took
you
it
went to
trial.
Colorado right out of the
Yes.
right. Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, some of you guys, a lot of you guys that listen to the show know that Jimmy's going to Vietnam shortly as part of his
Hanoi.
Did you get
Part of the
drafted?
chain.
as a part of his assignment with DEA, he's going over there. But before that, he went to Turkey. And one of the
Istanbul.
things, what's that?
Istanbul.
So I'm talking countries. Apparently, I need to get down to cities for you people. Apparently, cities are bigger than.
Hey, the funny thing is, Jim told me what he's doing. So I called my brother Dick, who's sitting over there. He's a historian guy. I go, guess where Jimmy Long's getting transferred to? And out of the blue, he said, Istanbul.
Is that the first time with the
But-
Turkey one?
Yeah, Istanbul, Turkey.
Because now he's being transferred again. I didn't know which one you're talking
No,
about.
So
Istanbul.
I told him to call him
Right.
after I got this one.
Because
He didn't-
your brother loved.
he didn't get the Vietnam one. I forgot what he guessed.
And
that
Dick's
time.
out there, but one of the things he loves is to travel, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
loves all that shit.
Right. And he loves history, loves he's a historian on wars and everything else. But when I said, guess where he's going? This is his very first trip. And he, out of the blue, he just said, Istanbul. I go, how in the hell did you know that? He goes, I don't know. I just said it.
That's how he rolls. That's how he rolls. But anyway, like I said, we'll get to Vietnam in a minute. But I want to get to your time in Turkey. So when I think of Turkey, I think, okay, not a real friendly country to the United States. I do remember you saying that your BMW had bulletproof glass.
It did. It was armored.
So what I was thinking is, can you go out at night, or when you go to these countries, how does that work?
Absolutely. Like there's certain areas that are forbidden that the State Department or the embassy frowns upon or tells you to stay away from. But that was more southeast Turkey, but not Istanbul. And the reason we had armored cars is because not towards Americans, but there was a lot of terrorism going on, especially in southeast Turkey. But they would bring it to the metropolitan areas like Istanbul and Ankara, to where they would do bombings. That was their preferred choice of attack.
Okay.
And then so the embassy and DEA made sure we all had armored cars just in case.
But you
That-
loved it over there.
It was amazing. It was the best time. The Turks were extremely hospitable people. It was an amazing time.
So, as far as food, is there a food over there that you really got to enjoy that you miss, that you can't get pretty much anywhere else?
There's a lot of Turkish restaurants, especially up in D.C. and other places I've traveled, and I always call it, or I always tell the story that it's very similar. Greek food is more popular in America for whatever reason. I don't know. They have better marketing, or maybe there's more Greeks in America. But basically, and maybe the Greeks will get angry about this and the Turks will get angry, but I think they're
they'll
very
get over it.
similar.
They'll get over it.
They're very similar people. The food is very similar, but they hate each other.
Right.
That stems back from hundreds and hundreds of years ago. In fact, when you're flying in Greece and you're flying back to Turkey, it doesn't say Istanbul. It still says Constantinople. When the Greeks,
Wow.
Owned it?
yeah, and they won't acknowledge Istanbul.
Well, let me just say, let me give you a little shout out though. He had to go through language class for how long?
7 months.
7 months, 1-on-1. So he said it was the most intense thing he ever
Oh,
It
yeah.
was the hardest thing I ever did in my life.
Being a DEA, anybody that
So how's your Turkish now?
Well, I just went over last summer, and it comes back pretty good.
Is it really?
I mean, I can get from the airport, and order food.
You know what you can do though
You
is
know.
if you need like flashcards, you know where I'd go?
Where? Tell us.
Marvell Printing.
Nice.
Have them because
I
you,
should
you
go
just
to
don't
them.
get you just don't get normal.
Can
you know.
Marvel Printing do some Vietnamese for me?
You know, Mark. You know he would.
I know.
You know he would. Right down there at 1920 South Broadway. You go down there and you get some flashcards built, and that we're going to get into Vietnam where you're going
Right.
to Vietnam, but I'm just throwing it out there. And you know, Mark, he's going to take care of you, isn't he?
Absolutely. 100%.
I suggest
I need to call him while I'm here in town.
Duolingo.
Then call him just to say hi, and then say, hey, by the way,
I
I'm
need
heading to
some flashcards,
Vietnam. I need
goddamn
some
me.
flashcards. I need some flashcards.
What's the word for beer?
Yeah.
What is so now we're going to go to your trek you're going to go to Vietnam now. So
Yeah.
you've been in DEA. And,
What is DEA thinking? Sending
well,
a
I'm
Southside
thinking what do
Hoosier
you?
to
I'm thinking DEA is fine because they got to find a nut that wants to go to Vietnam, and they found the nut. However, and I criticize, I make joke of that, but what is it about Vietnam that, or is
Did you
just
said
tell us why
yes.
you went?
Did you said you'd do it?
what appeals to me.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
experience.
So several reasons. One, it's just an amazing experience. You're going to learn a new country, a new culture, a rich culture, a rich history with us. I mean, with the war and everything, it's just fascinating that I get this experience. And then the other part of it of why for work, why would I be interested in work? Well, Big Brother over there is China, and I think
You want to get in the
when
mix. You want to
yeah.
get in the mix.
Well, yeah, because I mean, everybody has their own perspective. You know, as you know, a police officer in the street, you have that perspective where you're combating it at that point. But the fentanyl and a lot of the other chemicals that are making all the drugs that you see here on the street, they're coming from China. And so it's important when you want to when you need help from a friend, you don't want to call them when you need the help. You want to establish, that relationship long before you ever need that person. And I that's what I see my job as, is to establish relationship with the Vietnamese, or actually maintain it, because we've actually had really good relations for the last 30 years since the embassy opened in, I think, 2000 it was when we first reestablished relations with the Vietnamese. And so our job is to continue those relations, because one day we will need them. The U.S. will need them.
Right.
Yeah, and the Trump administration is taking on China, I mean, tactfully
Yeah.
and diplomatically, but that's the forefront right now. That's our biggest rival in the world. So
Absolutely.
you're going to be right there on the front line.
In the mix. That's what I'm saying. In the mix.
Yeah.
Yep.
But have you ever been to Vietnam?
I was allowed, or I was able to take a trip 2 months ago, and
So did you make the decision to go to Vietnam before you'd ever been to Vietnam?
no.
So you
thing,
did
but
go
the-
there first?
I went there after I was already selected. I was like, I can't
So
take
you've never
this
been
stress.
there?
No. Same thing in Turkey.
He said yes before he saw it.
Yes. I was selected before I had ever been to Vietnam.
You're crazy as a month.
And same thing in Turkey. I didn't know much about Turkey. My partner at the time in Colorado Springs, he saw the opening for Istanbul. He's like, dude, you should put in for it. And I was wanting to go overseas anyway. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. And
Your part-
I put in for it, but I didn't think I'd get it. I was only a couple years on, and there was no way I was going to get it.
you said partner. You meant like DEA partner, right?
Yeah, sorry, Jim.
Wait,
Wait,
JJ has to make sure all that's
Says the guy who rides
Right,
around with
right.
Howard on the back of his motorcycle.
right, the guy who dumped me for all kinds of partners afterwards.
Sorry about that. But I,
Yeah, we
just
just-
I want
You-
nobody to I don't want anybody to be confused, dude.
Hey, Mark, did you ever see the 6th District before you accepted your job in the 6th District?
No, I don't. It's like an episode of The Bachelorette. I jumped right in.
How many times have you been in the 6th District, Mark?
Prior to working there, day one, probably. I mean, I think maybe in the early 70s we went there for Baden Fest, and then that
No
was
way.
it. No.
Hey, this little county boy went to the 8th District
Dude.
for the first time. I got in the car with the guy, had like a year on, and the captain said, just drive around and show him the district.
Oh.
I was like, Holy sh!
Who was the guy?
Yeah.
If there was a picture,
Keenan Richardson. So I was like, holy crap.
like if you looked up white privilege in the dictionary, it would be my smiling ass going, "Hi." I was golfing at country clubs. I had it going on,
Wow, you
And
were
then at
slow.
21 years old, I hit the Peabody Project. And I was like, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
This is something that I didn't think existed in the world.
Use the phrase "golly" a lot. That comes out.
Golly.
Comes in handy.
No, it's
And-
holy. I think it's holy shit.
And you two never had. You had no police family. That
I had
that
nothing.
guy steered you to.
No, but I always wanted to be a
work.
policeman. And
I
then
did.
when I got hurt in college, playing ball up there in Scottsdale, and then when I came home, I had no plan.
So law enforcement was JJ's second career.
Are you talking about
After the hair gel stuff.
the hair gel?
Paul Mitchell. He was a Paul,
Paul
Mitchell.
Mitchell,
stuff.
yeah.
It's not true.
That's
at
why
that
you
head
still
of hair.
got.
That's why
you
it's so
still got
beautiful.
good hair. That's why you still got good hair because you work for Paul Mitchell.
I deserve that, Jimmy. The last comment I made about that, I deserve that. But that's a lot.
It's a compliment, dude.
Mark, how did you get into police work?
I was.
He flunked out at junior college?
Yeah, well,
No,
Well, we-
Western
we
Illinois
all
or
did.
Eastern Illinois?
We all did.
it was either the refinery in Wood River, which was closed down at the time, and not a big fan of manual labor. So I had my brother-in-law was really good friends with Major Joachim Stoller, who was a captain of the 6th District at the time. So I think he introduced me to him, and then I think I called him every day for like 7 months.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Back then you
Yeah,
had
the
to.
fact-
You had to. There was a
And-
waiting list to get on back then.
absolutely. And
I got on at 21 years old, so it was pretty cool. But I was about as green as could be.
Your dad had connections. He knew people.
No, my neighbor was Major McGauley at the time, and not that we didn't. I mean, we knew him. Wasn't like he's just my neighbor.
Well, it took me almost 2 years to get on.
Yep.
Oh,
There was,
yeah.
there was
It's
a waiting
unfortunate.
list to get on. Now they're begging for him.
Yeah. How big was the last class?
You got a pulse. You're good. You're good.
14.
Hey man, they got
You
this
know,
little salt on the side. You're
You know
good.
what's- You know what's sad though? They got a class of 35. And I was with the chief not long ago at a function, and he said 35 are starting, and he says we'll probably lose half.
Right.
That's disgusting.
So how many did graduate?
The class just started,
Oh,
so they start out with 30, 35, and they'll lose half of them. I mean, these kids they don't have a clue what they're doing. They just think, hey, I don't like working at McDonald's, wherever. Maybe I'll be a cop. They have no idea. And then they go in there and like, this ain't what I want to do.
it's a problem in law enforcement. In DEA Academy, we only had 15.
Yeah.
We could only pass 15 people into.
DA?
Yeah.
12 in a diversion coming up. Yeah.
I'd like to make this
Jeez.
producer John's musings behind the mic.
Yep. Come on. Good. Which is brought to you by Schecker Automotive.
Oh,
You know where you go with Schecker? If you don't want a Becker about the price on the sticker, you head on down to Schecker, where you get the best deal quicker.
I was reading.
Now, what do you got?
I was going to read about Chicker's stuff.
You were going to read my
No.
but we need to sell.
All right.
But Olivia sends us shit we got to say every day. So you down?
This is actually
Well,
good lead.
let me also plug St. Louis Classic Rock Preservation Society, who is signed on is one of our sponsors.
Yes. And
Hey, I got.
Tell me more, John. I don't know
Yeah,
anything
exactly.
about that.
What's this?
I don't live here anymore.
St. Louis Classic Rock.com. They have like 8 radio stations on there that you can stream, but they also put all of our podcasts on there. But it's a nonprofit, but it promotes classic rock, the stuff we grew up with.
yeah.
But also they raise money, and Backstoppers is one of their major beneficiaries of their trivia nights and the other things they do. So it's a great organization, and go on their website because you'll hear some songs you haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, those songs that you
And no
that-
commercials.
The best is when you hear that one song that you don't have on your like
Yeah.
in your phone, and you hear that thing, and then you just turn it up, and then no matter who calls you, they're getting a decline.
Oh yeah,
It's like
you got to
decline.
finish
I
the
don't,
song.
I'm not downloading it, but I just want to hear this song. Then you're like, I'll call them back, and then you don't call them back for like 4 hours.
Yeah, and these songs, a lot of songs they play are off albums, so they're not on Spotify and
Right.
whatever. So if you
It's
want
in
to hear
its
'em-
truest form, like that.
Yeah, yeah.
When they play the whole record.
yeah, it's so much richer when it comes off of a vinyl record.
I enjoy when it's and it's random too. It's
Yeah.
like right at that right time. You had that right amount of beers,
Yeah.
and then that song comes on.
Well, music is a good thing, man. Music is a good thing.
I'm not. I'm not.
You
done,
still haven't found
I'm
it?
not done with Schicker.
You haven't found, you still haven't found that sugar
Washington
thing?
location, 2024 Ram trucks. The heavy duty trucks, last of the pre-tariff trucks, hurry before they're gone.
That's a
The
tough truck, a truff.
Last of the pre-tariff trucks. You set me up, John. After the,
What?
Whatever. Hurry before they're gone, and then there's
It's a
also
tongue-
and then
it's a tongue twister to JJ.
Schicker's also offering pre-price pricing still, like employee price for vehicles. So if you it's almost like you work there, you get that price the employees get, and
Right,
they also have $500 off of sales and 15% service for active military veterans and teachers and graduates. And that-
Nice.
All right, very good.
Sugar and Sally went down to the seashore.
Just go down to Sugar if you need a
We
car.
get the best
Period.
deals. We get the best deals quick.
Maybe those shots weren't such a good idea.
Yeah.
For JJ?
Hey, John, Danny's
that's
not here.
why
I don't
we have him do
I
it.
have zero responsibility when Danny's here, and he tries to throw shit at me. So
But the shot thing with JJ he is 10 times better when we get a shot. There's just no
that
doubt.
is not true.
Speaking of that, do you have a Zen?
I do.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
hold on.
Ready? Have we got Zen music?
I didn't know we did that.
Hold
anymore.
on. This is my. I haven't done that yet. Just need to do that again because our very good sign from our buddy Dave Mueller is out front.
Giving up is the birth of regret,
Ooh.
and that was actually by a USA pageant winner.
A beauty pageant winner?
I was her speech, and that she said that.
I thought
in
it
the
would
speech.
be Ura.
No. giving up is the birth of regret.
That's a good one.
That is good.
That
I
is
thought
a
it was
good
kind
one.
of cool. It caught my eye, and I put it.
Very good. That is a very good one.
That was tremendous, JJ.
Thank you all for playing.
Now, if you wanted to be healthy, do you know where you go, Jimmy? If you wanted to be healthy, J-Lo?
No, but I've been feeling down. Like,
Where would you go?
We
I
can
don't
tell you.
know, but I need some help with that.
How about Prime Performance?
Listen,
Oh.
listen up, Jimmy. Prime performance.
Yeah, gotcha.
Before you leave for
44.
Vietnam, get a bunch of B12 shots.
Dude, I'm telling you, you could probably.
Then the revive shot.
I think you could work out a deal with Jimmy where you could hope with Jimmy
Jimmy
Worm.
Worm?
Is that you can open up like on the side? Just
Yeah,
open up
satellite
Prime
office?
satellite office in Vietnam. Get them motherfuckers healthy too.
Yeah, they could
You know,
use that.
a couple B12s. You know, little. What's the other thing we took? The revive shot.
Revive.
I'm still feeling good from that. Guy.
There's no way that's still affecting you. You need to go back.
Never. I
So
probably do.
it's been over a week. It lasts for a
Membership.
few days.
I need to get a membership as well.
I was talking to some of the guys in my unit, young guys, and they're going there,
Right.
and they go once a week. Some of them, yeah.
Mark, would you go down there?
Oh,
You
yeah.
into the B12? No.
100%.
He used to do those cleansings.
Oh yeah, Mark
He
helping
was the
the,
king of the cleansings. And he would come in every once in a while. He'd have these green shakes. And like, oh, fucking Biondolino's cleansing again.
Oh yeah. And I remember in the
And they were
office-
brutal, dude. You would go through like 2 weeks for doing that stuff.
Yeah, I remember cleaning out my desk. I had one of the bottles that I'd take some of the supplements on there, and someone with a nice Sharpie put horse semen on the label.
Was that you, John?
no, it was horse semen.
That's it. Tremendous effect.
You strong like bull.
Yeah, there you go.
Where do they got to go to get that? If you wanted to get a membership to Prime Performance, where do you go, JJ?
You go to 44 Fenton Plaza,
Yep.
in Fenton, Missouri, or you go to 1222 Central Park Drive in O'Fallon, Illinois.
Good stuff. That is good.
You were like a director there. You were like, give me the okie doke. Like, yes.
Now
We got tired of certain
earlier
people who-
about nicknames. What are any other good nicknames on the police department that you guys can think of that kind of fit the one that comes to my mind is Queen Thunder.
Ooh,
No, that was perfect.
her office is right around the corner
That's a
from me.
good one because she was Colonel Page's protege. Was his aide.
Well, she got
And
the
he was
nickname.
Big Thunder, but she was Queen.
Well, she got the nickname for buying dope. She was part of the scat team. Mike Mueller might be gone already, but yeah, she got the world nicknamed her
Oh.
Queen Thunder.
Can we,
The world.
can we use
That
her
was
real
great.
name?
World, huh?
Can we use her real name?
Yeah, Latricia Allen, Major Latricia Allen. She's proud of that. If it's her office,
We kept talking about her nickname, but nobody gave her credit for
Yeah.
her actual
Latricia Allen.
name.
She's a major now. Her office is right around the corner from me. I talk to her. I see her almost every
Great
day.
gal.
She's awesome.
Tremendous.
We've mentioned her on
one of the-
several other shows.
yeah.
She
One of
actually
the
said
funniest
to you.
people. What's that?
She said to you that she was ghetto famous from the show.
Latricia's
might be
one
one.
of the top 3 funny
Yes, she
police
is.
officers I've
Oh,
ever met.
She is a character.
I briefly mentioned. I'll briefly mention it again. Is that there is a story of her and Danny Jones. I don't know if anybody remembers DJ. He was an older, little veteran black officer that was in intelligence.
Spoon?
And no,
Spoon?
Danny
Oh, no.
Danny Jones.
DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is awesome.
So they went into a hotel room as a husband wife. They're going to buy 3 kilos, whatever it is. Well, they went into husband wife like you couldn't believe, and bickering husband wife. that sent. I mean, we were all crying. Everybody's crying, laughing about.
The room's all wired up. and everything.
Yeah, they're wired up,
Yeah, they're wired
and
up.
they get an argument, and the argument goes on. It was some classic shit. But the other one that I thought was funny is that we put out a couple clips this week of Tom Godfrey on
Oh,
Facebook.
God, yeah.
And that particular seminar was a seminar done by the FBI, and they're going to teach people how to interview people. And then this guy meets Godfrey in the bar the night before. It's obvious because it's talked about on. Godfrey brings it up, not the other guy. And so he's like, I'll bring this guy on because he's hard to interview, and I'll tell people, I'll show people I know how to interview people. And at the end of the interview, the guy stands up and he goes, sometimes you get the bear, sometimes the bear gets you. And that was Godfrey interview.
That is such a classic.
He was so
I'm
funny,
glad
dude.
you found that. Video.
Eddie Pfeiffer, and shout out to Eddie Pfeiffer for that. He was in intelligence at the time, and that VCR came back, and I don't know who brought it back.
Yeah, when I was in intelligence, we used to sit up there, a couple times a year and watch the whole video in the little tech room down there. But Godfrey was one of the funniest guys ever.
he hung out at Hilltop. I saw
would-
him all the time there.
He came to the 6th District, I think, when either Major Hawkins was there. He came up there as his aide. And I had no idea. I was like, why is the guy from the Hilltop behind the desk? I didn't know he was a sergeant.
But he was a top character. What other characters are on the police department? You're like, okay. And when I say characters, they might not be the greatest policemen, but they're the people that you wanted to be around and the people that needed to be around. Who are
Yeah.
some of the better ones?
Well, Vince Stalin is one of my favorite ever
Yep.
because he would make you laugh.
Vigny.
We said policeman.
Yeah. Sergeant.
Sorry, Vince.
Yeah, Sergeant Stalin was a great guy, but Vinny, our Vinny, we would go on calls and he would you'd be interviewing somebody who was like completely nuts, but he would stand behind the person and like mock them when you're trying to interview him, and you just couldn't keep a straight face, and he just did shit like that all the time.
J.D. the Bishop comes to mind.
Oh,
my
JD.
God.
Babe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nobody can
Babe.
say anything. There's no stories to be related. Everybody
Not
just
on
goes,
the air here.
Oh my God.
You get I would just recently, because I worked with JD when I was working at Spire for a while, and he's still just as nutty as ever. But like he texts you, he goes, "Hey babe, I need the day off, babe. Is it okay, babe?" He calls everybody babe, even in text.
Good. He was a good one. One of the ones we got. Barney was a good one. Just because the name just fit the description to a T.
To a T.
And there's a couple other ones. Tom Godfrey and John Heffley.
Yeah, Hef
I
Lee.
thought the Hef was a good policeman,
Yeah.
but he could keep you laughing now.
He does all the voices. and
He
shit.
does tremendous voices.
Has he been on the show?
And he
he was,
came
yeah.
on and he tells the one, and we didn't tell it on the show he was on. And like you said, he's got those voices.
Yeah.
And so he had to pull the car over. And so he responds to an accident. I'm sorry. He responds to an accident. And the accident is between a young black kid and an Arab.
Are you really telling this story?
This might get cut.
So it'll be fine. So the Hef gets the call, and the young black kid's brakes. He didn't have any brakes, and he just rammed into the back of this Middle Easterner. And so they get out, and Hef, writes the guy. He ends up having to write the guy ticket for not having a driver's license, not having faulty brakes,
No insurance.
no insurance, and he's got like 5 tickets. Then the Middle Easterner and they're all sitting on the side. So when Hef comes out after writing the guy all the tickets, everybody kind of converges on Hef, and the guy is signing the tickets. And the Middle Easterner is saying, "Whoa, officer, what happens from here? What happens from here, officer?" And he's like, "Well, I'm giving him tickets, and then he's going to go his way, and you're going to go your way." He goes, "Officer, I just don't get it. I've been in country for 1.5 years. They tell me to go get driver's license, I go get driver's license. They tell me to go get insurance, I go get insurance." He goes, "This motherfucker been here 25 years, can't find time to go get driver's license or insurance." I don't even know where we were. I don't even know where we
I
were.
was mesmerized by this story.
we gotta say one more story.
Well, how do I round back after this?
He always does the GYF or GFY.
Go fuck yourself?
Yeah. I was
All
gonna try
right.
to say
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I know you're a big time lieutenant. You don't want to say the word fuck. God forbid that's what you
Only
get.
because Greg
why'd
Colombo doesn't like it when we curse.
Jay did all kinds of shit and got fired for saying fuck. But go ahead.
The floor is yours.
We're going to show the video. We had 2 young officers, and Eldon Dedikovich and another kid named Shane. I got to put my cheaters on.
He works for you?
No.
Right.
Shane,
You know
no,
him.
I don't know. Actually, Eldon, he's a Bosnian kid. He works overtime for me in the first. And his name Shane Hopkins. He's his partner in the district. Hoppy. They chase the guy. They have reason to stop this guy. They've been looking into him. They chase him. They finally catch him, and it's a resisting. And he's not really resisting, but it's a resisting. He won't put his hands behind his back because they're struggling with him. They're not macing him. They're not beating him. Well, there's video. Then went on. It got VOP, the Voice of the People, put that video on, and their video.
The real
and
St.
the guy. There's a guy that's narrating. He goes, "Oh, they're resisting. He's resisting. He ain't doing nothing.
He ain't doing nothing.
They're just going off on
His
the police.
daddy.
They're ended up being his father, just going off on the police officer. It was so ignorant, and so they ended up locking the guy up, and he had meth on him. And he had all kinds of other issues, but then they had a good case issue. This last, I know we're kind of getting close to the end because he's looking at the camera. But anyway, he can go F himself, dude.
Oh, that dude can go fuck himself.
All the dad was doing was
Because
trying.
that dude was not even trying to put his hands behind his back.
No, but what dad watches his kid resisting
Right.
arrest and doesn't tell him to shut up? You know what I mean? He should be telling, hey,
or comply
relax.
with the officer.
Yeah, comply.
Son,
I mean,
comply with the
He
officer.
was looking for a pay.
Put your hands behind your
like
back.
It's going to be maybe this go national.
Right.
And we'll make some money.
Forgot
off
he
it.
was white.
So he can go after himself. Pisses me off.
They
Hey,
can all go
JJ.
fuck themselves.
Go get a cigar someplace.
Yep. You know where you go?
Yeah, the Riverman.
Yeah.
And I you know what? I
89,
feel
84 Watson.
Yeah, I feel terrible because my brother Dick's here, and he gave me some cigars to give to him personally, and they're still at my house. And he said, my brother said,
why?
don't forget them, and I forgot, but I'll get them to him.
No, because Dan is the man with the bands.
He's-
Anything you want down there, and one of the most interesting people ever.
I love him. Yeah, he's interesting.
I mean, just an interesting dude. Been all over the world with
Stories.
his jobs. The place has got some nostalgia with the SLU basketball if you like sports. But if you just want to go in and get somebody a cigar, that's the place to go. 8984 Watson Road.
And his,
I'll
his re-
definitely have to hit it before Vietnam because
His-
last time I was there, the tariffs. I
Really?
paid $73 for one cigar.
will they let you bring him in?
Holy moly!
One time.
Will they let you bring him in?
Well, as a diplomat.
And
Yeah.
you,
can't.
you
So-
made that
so I'm
decision.
gonna-
So you had the decision.
I didn't know.
Of the,
I didn't know.
Here's the
Oh,
bill
wow.
of $73 for this cigar.
Jimmy's
Yeah.
gonna be
Was there
selling.
the option
Jimmy's
to
gonna be
say
selling
no?
cigars in Vietnam.
Yeah, on the black
He'll be able to
market.
retire. He'll be able to retire in a
You're
year.
gonna snitch on Dan. You're gonna get our man
Who's the
Dan.
sponsor?
And,
Is it Dan?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Dan
get him
Pound.
to.
Riverman Cigar.
So you're gonna
Private
get Dan in
Vietnam,
problems. You
Vietnam
can-
farm.
now we're gonna get Dan indicted on a fucking on a cigar controversy.
Cigar smuggling.
That's a good one, Johnny. I like that one. Well, who else we got that we've forgotten? Anybody else?
Shicker? Oh, we did that one.
We did that one.
We forgot.
That was belated.
We forgot Ed Mesplay.
From back.
Yeah, that's
That
pretty-
mess play from back in the day.
Yeah, he was our very first sponsor.
He was our
man.
Very
first
first
sponsor.
sponsor.
Might as well throw him back in.
Exactly. Give free one. And what do you, JJ? You remember that number?
Hell no. I don't even, I don't
We know
remember.
you don't.
No, but I don't even know what he
you
did
don't.
anymore. No.
So, Mark, what brings you into town? Mark lives in Florida now, but what does bring you to town?
Podcast.
Yeah, just come down here for this. No,
For
I was down,
Clavos, for the beer and pizza.
Right.
beer pizza. No, I was at the U.S. Attorney's office from an older case that I had, old homicide case. Actually, we talked about it on here a couple months back.
On the what is they appealing it?
No, well, there is an appeal up for it, but this was unrelated to that. It was an
All right,
award
so-
ceremony.
Oh, an award ceremony. Good for you.
Yeah.
You get an
Good for
award?
you.
So you got to pay your own price to ticket here.
Well, I was coming up to visit family
Oh, okay.
also, so-
And then but there's the podcast.
and the podcast.
What are the
then-
odds that Jimmy's in town, he's in town.
That's why we got him
Brian
on.
McGlynn's in town.
Jimmy was in Tampa right before he came down. We had dinner in
Yep.
Tampa.
Oh,
Got
nice.
Brian Mack in the house, Heather Saban.
There
Jeff
were some really
Stone from
interesting people who were
Homicide.
supposed to be on the show tonight, but you kicked them off for Mark and I?
Yeah.
The guy we were doing the podcast with earlier.
Oh, okay.
We've gone on so
He's-
long.
he's got a story.
We've gone on so long. I think my brothers are leaving. We're not leaving. Okay.
Oh, they're just going to the bathroom together.
They were
It's
there.
kinda- It's kind
They
of
were
like
there.
it's kind of
That's
like
pretty. That's pretty impressive. They were there a long
it's
time.
similar to you and Danny on the motorcycle together. their closeness.
That's a true story?
What?
Nice. There we
Danny.
go.
He jumped on the back of my motorcycle after a fuzzball tournament. Yeah.
Like a couple hobos.
Yeah.
that's what JJ said. Hobos. No, but I think we've talked long enough.
Yeah, we
and,
have.
We have.
Jimmy and Mark, really proud. It's neat that you guys are in town,
Thank you
We're
for having
sad.
us on. It's always great seeing you all and coming and hang out.
Hey,
but we're sad that you're leaving to Vietnam.
I really
we'll
had
see
fun.
Mark and everything, but we're gonna get it. We're gonna get an increased visitors from Vietnam.
I hope so.
Can you can do the show from Vietnam, right? On your computer or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's 6 a.m. in Vietnam right now.
Is that what it is?
Well, you can get up first.
Come on.
Yeah.
Robin Williams did it.
Yeah.
Good morning, Vietnam. It's supposed to be one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Parts.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
But parts I saw
Just
so
going
far.
out there blind. So the Vietnamese food, you check that out yet?
Oh yeah, it's amazing actually. So is
Is
the
it
Turkish
similar to
food.
Chinese food?
No.
No, not even close.
No.
It's
The
more like
St. Paul,
was
the
that-
St.
was-
Paul special.
Was that racist? Was that racist?
the Vietnamese food's kind of like Greek food.
Yeah.
No fried rice.
All right. Communities that support law enforcement are safer places to live. Appreciate everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
Amen.
Peace.
All right.